What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trade Decoded. It is December 12th, 2024. It's 3:28 in the afternoon. Yes, I'm aware the market's still open, but we are done trading. Why? Because we make good decisions. We make good money early in the day, and, well, we decided to call it a day. That, plus I'm getting on the road to go out of town until Sunday. So, I got to get this done a little early to make that more possible. With that said, today was a much needed day for several reasons. Number one, a lot of us had an uncomfortable day, even though the chart was moving for many reasons that we discussed in yesterday's video. And number two, things looked good for the setups that we like to see and the reasons we want to take the trades we take. And we found two really good trades. One was a little aggressive. And we got to take advantage of one, two, or all three of them. For me, I took a super aggressive trade early on in the day, which worked out, but it was uncomfortable. But the second trade, which was, if I'd just been patient, should have been my only trade, was fantastic. And I'll explain those things and why I did what I did and why we found them to be potential trades in the first place, just like we do in all these videos. So without further ado, let's go ahead and launch the charts and take a look. Pre-market was dismal, albeit red. Everything was red this morning in the top 10, except for Eli Lilly, if I remember correctly. So naturally, even though this is not the right thing to do, I was more interested in puts than I was in calls. Now I know you're looking at this and you're saying, Jimmy, but you're putting in higher lows leading into the open. I am aware of that. Okay, I'm just saying I felt more comfortable wanting to play calls than I did puts, simply because of how much red I was seeing in the market and the reports that came out today. Not so great. Okay, so I kind of expected the move to be down. It took a long time to get there. It ran up after moving down a little bit, and now it's, going in to the later part of the day, it's been moving down at a slow, ragged pace, if you will. But with that said, let's talk about what I did, and then let's talk about a couple of the trades that we took or found to take. Call line was above 606.40. Now again, calls, higher lows, we're expecting resistance to fail, and if it does, we're expecting it to run up to the next resistance. It did all that. The problem is it did it 1 minute before the market opened, which is really unfortunate because, that's what we wanted to take. However, there was a second caveat to that trade, and that was you better wait for the Qs to clear this pre-market high here. Not high, it's not the high, but this resistance here that it bounced off of twice, which it rejected in pre-market and never got back above until it did. So we wouldn't have gotten into calls unless the Qs crossed this line. So we won't say that the call scenario worked this time. It worked later, but not this time. It was too quick. It didn't feel right. And we never crossed the line on the Qs to take the calls. Naturally, if calls don't work, many of us feel that puts must be the play, including myself. Now, admittedly, that included a bit of a put bias that I had this morning. Because of the reports, because of everything being read in the top 10, I had my reasons. Qs were at resistance. SPY was at resistance as well. Okay. And ADD kind of got faked out here on this candle because originally this was a nice big red candle. It got bought up. I got in at 931 on my trade. You can see there's no arrow here because this wasn't a trade that we talked about at all. This was me playing my bias and wanting to be right and hoping to be right. What I was hoping for was to get down to our put line. And because Qs were moving down, we should have been wanting to take our profits on that trade when the Qs made it down to this orange line, because it is a line of support that they had here. They were struggling to get through it. and they continued to struggle to get through it. And every time that SPY would come down to this point here, because a lot of people took this trade, even though it wasn't a trade suggestion, probably for similar reasons that I took mine. We get down to this support. This is when Qs are on support. This would have been a nice, easy time to take profits. I was already up, slightly above my daily goal in that trade, but no, I wanted more. I wanted to get down to the next line. And as I said in yesterday's video, and in many videos in the past, the chart doesn't care what I want, okay? And this is how we get ourselves in trouble. I could have and should have taken my profits here and waited for another trade setup. Instead, I stayed in the trade, going red on the trade, back to green, struggling like hell to make it through this line of support. Okay? Ended up getting out of this trade on this pullback, because as we moved down here, I was double my daily goal now. And I told everybody, because I'd put alerts on the pink line, I want to hold it till the pink line. But because I'm being super aggressive and I'm acting like an idiot right now, I'm going to put a stop loss in profit at my daily goal amount, which is $100 a contract, 5 contracts, $500. And we were getting close to 10 o'clock too. If we don't get down to the pink line and it pulls back and it stops me out, I'm getting out with my daily goal. And that's what happened. I ended up getting stopped out of this trade at 9:58. Got in at 9:31, hoped to get down to the pink line, got stopped out at 9:38 with profit, just not as much, and it was an extremely uncomfortable trade. However, after 10 o'clock rolls around, it's not a report, all the reports happened early today. We run up against a situation where we have a move up, 10 o'clock comes, we're at resistance, we come down. We make a lower high. But at this point, before 10 o'clock came, in fact, while we were down here, I told everybody loud and clear so that there was no question, there was no miscommunications, there was no nothing. I said, guys, pretty evident that we have a strong resistance on the Qs as well as a strong support here. That would be a channel. I am going to buy puts if the Qs, this is while we were down here struggling to get through this orange line. It was on this candle. So 10:02. I said, if the Qs pull back up to the top of this resistance, I am going to buy puts. But here's the caveat and what made me be more confident in taking this trade. Look at what had already started long before that on ADD. ADD started to sell off long before that trade opportunity. I don't know why that's there. We should be at 10:02. I'm trying to mark on ADD and the Qs and SPY where all these things are lining up so I can quickly get to them to show you why I was getting into these trades. So here we are on SPY, okay, in a downtrend. Lower highs, you've got Qs in a channel with a clear level of resistance that it's respected ever since it got below it, and you have ADD aggressively trending down. Again, at 10:02, I told everybody, that's why it's not there. I told everybody if we pull back to the blue line, I'm going to get into puts. And I'm going to hope that Qs at least make it down to the orange line again. That's all I was expecting because it's all it has been telling us we were going to get. That happened at 10:09. But the Qs, as luck would have it, closed below that level. And because of that, we were hoping to get down to the next line. Now we got 6 cents off of it. And at the same time, ADD was starting to show a little bit of slowdown in the move to the downside. So we get out of the trade. Okay, we get out of the trade. We're through the Q support. We aimed for the next support down. We got it. Okay, and it was a nice trade. That trade ended up being a 36.2% win. The first one was 14.9. Uncomfortable, was not a comfortable moneymaker for the first trade. For me, the second one felt much better, right? And that's because all of the things that I would normally like to see and what I should wait to see before I act happened. We have a clear resistance. SPY was trending down. ADD was trending down. Everything was there to take puts with confidence, and we took them. That was my second and final trade of the day. Now, the reason I went ahead and got out of this, now I didn't make it all the way down here, okay? I ended up getting out during this 10:09 candle because I had told everybody, if we get down to the pink line, we hear the beep, I'm going to mark it out of the trade. I left a good chunk of money on the table by doing so, but it's because I already felt like I was breaking rules because of the mistake I made or the reasons or lack thereof that I took the first trade. So I felt dirty, if that makes sense. I'm weird, you know how when you do something wrong and you get away with it and you feel lucky, you feel like you're pushing your luck if you do it again. That's exactly what happened to me. So I felt like I met my daily goal. I was pushing my luck, but at the same time, I saw a setup that I was comfortable enough to take and that I wanted to share with everybody minutes before. Now, if Qs didn't pull back to this level, I would have missed this trade. So it took ADD moving down, which I mentioned to everybody, guys, look at ADD. It's aggressively going down. If Qs pull back to that resistance, I'm going for it. We went for it. Now, some people, this was their first trade of the day. They got in here because we closed below support. They're expecting the next support down. They got to make more money or a larger percentage return than I did. And I'm happy for them for that. I wish I would have waited for that to be my first, because then I wouldn't have scared myself out of the trade because there was no reason to, right? ADD was still moving down. It finally started to rotate down around 10-12, right when Qs was almost to their target line. Everything looked good to get out of that trade with profit. To the upside, I told everybody right here at 10:21, I said, guys, Qs are putting in higher lows and ADD is trending up now. Guess what we might be in for? We're expecting resistance to fail. We're aiming for the double lines up here on the Qs. Happened to line up with SPY hitting resistance at the same time. And as you can see, we got in. Again, the same things that we were using to take puts. Qs at resistance, ADD moving down, SPY in a downtrend. All three of those things, we just needed to act. Likewise, we put in a higher low here. You put in a higher low here and here. And I told everybody, and again, this only matters if you're in the room. You know what I'm trying to help you guys find the right setups, okay? If ADD is no longer trending down and instead is putting in higher lows and printing green itself, let's take the risk. Every trade's a risk. Let's take the risk of getting in, expecting resistance to fail with momentum of ADD rotating up. The downtrend had ended on ADD at that time. Let's go for it. So that was a 10:22 entry, and the Qs got up to their line, whether you played it till 10:25 or 10:26. Either way, SPY was nearing resistance, 10:26. You take your profits. That's it. That was it. Those were two great trades. I don't know what the percentage return was on that one because I wasn't in it, but we chopped around for a little bit. And then somebody was asking me, Jimmy, where would you be interested in puts again? On the Qs chart. Now, I reference the Qs chart often, and I didn't put one here. What time was this? This was 11:42. And I said the Qs are coming off of lower highs. So as long as we can get through support, we should head down to, and what I was aiming for was this blue line here. And so the Qs got below support, 11:42, right here. Well, let's see. They broke the support here at 11:41. We closed below it. So we're hoping to get down to, I mean, we had one to deal with here. It closed below that one too, but we were really hoping to get down to the blue line. And that was the other trade that we found. So again, SPY was already putting in lower highs, lower lows. What was ADD doing at that time? 10:42, 11:4. What time was it? 11:42. 1142. Oh, yes. ADD was pushing down. And so again, we take the risk. Momentum was on the side. The pattern that we like to see, which was downtrend, was happening. Lower highs tell us it's more likely to break support instead of hold. It's happening on SPY, happening on Qs, happening on ADD. You take the risk. Now, where do you ride it to? Well, it really depends. We aim for the next line down. Now, whether you get out here or not is completely up to you. But if you're going to stay in when Qs, and this is something we talk about often, if Qs and SPY are coming to a level of support and or resistance while you're in a trade, it's always better to assume that that support or resistance is going to be stronger than if one of the charts was touching a support or resistance. Okay? When they're both hitting a level of support at the same time, assume that it's stronger than a normal level. Okay? So I always tell people in our group, if you are in puts and Qs and SPY are hitting support at the same time, it's better to consider taking your profits at that point. If you insist on staying in the trade because ADD is selling off, okay, which is something that I would look at if I was trying to hold the trade longer, do not make that choice without first putting a stop loss in profit so that if it does hold like it did in this case and pulls back on you, you don't get stuck letting a green trade turn red or potentially putting yourself in a hold and hope situation. Because that is exactly what happens when you go from being up a fair amount or a fair percentage of money to being down or zero again. The first thing that goes through your head is, man, I should have taken my profits when we got there and I didn't. And your mind says, hold on to it until you get back into profit. Problem is, if you don't get back into profit, you end up getting in trouble and the trade almost always becomes a hold and hope. Okay, this was the last trade we talked about on the day. And yes, the chart was moving up and down, not connected with each other as far as SPY and ADD and things like that started to disconnect shortly around lunchtime. When I came back from lunch, we all agreed to call it a day. And so we did. So whatever happens at this point for the rest of the day, I don't know. But it was a good day. I think in the community right now, we have 18 reds and 80 greens or something like that. It's a good day. It was a good day. It was a good Thursday. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to wrap this one up. For my members tomorrow, I will draw all the lines and everything for you. I'll share my screens, even though I won't be on the mic. I will be there to say my good mornings to everybody from the hotel room that I'll be in. And that's it. So I hope you guys found some useful information in this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to join our Discord community, we'd love to have you. There are links down below. There's a bunch of big and exciting changes coming up in our community. Got a book coming out. I'm going to be doing half days, but it's also going to make the price per month cheaper for the people who are monthly payers. And we got some other things going on. We got the dividend series is going to start in January. Can't wait for that. I'm going to get roasted by people, but I'm also making money with it. So roast me, roast away. For now, I'm making money. Could all change quickly, and who knows? Not saying it's going to work forever, but it's working right now. $30,000 is now worth $46,000. So I've made $15,000 just on the dividends from that dividend portfolio this year alone, even though the shares are down. So we'll talk about that come January. I'll show everything and we'll go from there. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you had a fantastic day today. Till tomorrow, I love you guys. See you.